sometimes you gotta wonder what they're thinking when they make some of these cards, and we're gonna get to the one I'm speaking of in just a moment. But some of the power levels just through the roof, and I mean I think I know the reason why they're doing it, and I'll break that down a little bit later in the video. But let's just get up into the guts and glory here. So this one we already knew about. Good old Solemn Golomb over here. Solemn Golomb, it's got a good name. I like it. We'll go with Solemn Golomb. Very powerful, for sure. It was like upwards to, I think, what, $5-6? And now it got a reprint, so it'll drop down to like $1, $1.50, $2, maybe $2, something like that. But really cool card. It has some nice abilities on it. I'm really gearing or hoping that we can do something with artifacts. So let's just get past that. Vengeful Leafkin. Here's a new one. 4-drop. Now, again, I have to do translations. I translated like 4 different languages today. And these are the cards that I ended up making. I just cropped out stuff just so you guys are not confused. These are real cards. The real art is right here. And then I just threw in all the details around it. Okay. So Vengeful Leafkin, 4-drop. This one's actually be pretty powerful. It's pretty nutty. It is an elemental druid. And remember, elementals, a lot of elementals are going to rotate out with the set after Core 2021. So, yeah, get ready for that. But this one, you tap it, you add a green mana for each creature of power 4 or greater you control. And then for 8, Vengeful Leafkin deals damage equal to its power to target player or planeswalker. I like that it has player on there, not creature. That'd be a stupid ability if it just said creature or planeswalker, or something like that. But because it says player, you can kill your opponent with this, Now, getting 8 is kind of steep, but there are ways to reduce the mana that is required to activate that ability in standard right now. I think this is going to be an interesting card. I don't know how good of a card it is, but keep in mind, for each other creature with power 4 or greater, you're going to add another green mana. So to be able to do the 8 here, that's already reducing the cost if you got a bunch of other ones. And then you just pump this thing. Pump this guy. I'm not saying this is going to be competitive, but I like meme kind of decks. It's stupid things that could happen in Magic. And I think this is a fun card. You can make a meme out of this deck, or just a really janky build. Jank and meme are kind of the same, But interesting, to say the least. Then we got Riddleform, another reprint, 2-drop enchantment over here. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may have Riddleform become a 3/3 Sphinx creature with flying, in addition to its other types until end of turn. Riddleform does see standard play. I'm sure it will see standard play again. It's 3 to scry 1 as well. So it comes with a little perk on it, too. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And also there's a card that it can not combo with, but it can kind of synergize with a little bit, for sure. So let's get up into that really quick in a moment. Transmogrify. Am I saying that right? Transmogrify. Okay, Transmogrify. We got it. Like the art on this. 4-drop. I don't know if this is a reprint or not, but it's interesting. Sorcery. Exile target creature. That creature's controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. So you can exile a creature for 4. Downside is, well, that player puts that card onto the battlefield and shuffles the rest of their library. This might be something if you're not running many creatures. I mean, if you're really not running many creatures at all, maybe you just throw like a one drop, or not a 1-drop, but one creature that's just absolutely huge into a deck. Maybe 2 copies of it or something. Or even like your dragon, You can exile another one of your creatures. You have to have a creature, though. So maybe something that generates a token when it comes in the battlefield, perhaps. And then you would just exile that token, and then boom, now you got your big 7/7 dragon, on the battlefield that's doing some nasty damage. Just a thought, or whatever other, this is another kind of a janky thing you can do. This will be a bulk rare for sure, but it is interesting. You might be able to have some fun with this, some shenanigans. Cool card. Then we have Hellkite Punisher. Cool art. Love me dragons. It's this big old 7-drop, 6/6. Flying for 1, Hellkite Punisher gets +1/+0 until end of turn. We'll pay no more tribute to that tyrannical lizard. A new age starts today. That's the mayor. And he's now deceased. Oh, well, that's sad. Well, anyway, there you have it. That's pretty cool. The flames just burning up his little village or town, whatever's going on. But you can pump it. That's pretty sweet. It is a big drop, though. Again, your limited kind of stuff. Not going to see any competitive play whatsoever, ever. But there you have it. This one we already talked about as well, one of the first days, but here is the actual card in all of its full gloriness. Basri Ket, 3-drop. People are thinking it's not going to be that powerful, but there's a reason that people are thinking this way, and that's because, yeah, it is creature-based. It doesn't work well without creatures. You have to have creatures in order for this thing to be anything. You know, it's +1. You put a +1/+1 counter on up to one target creature. It gains indestructible until end of turn. It's not too shabby. -2. Whenever one or more non-token creature attack this turn, create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. Whenever one or more... Okay, never mind. I was going to say, if you can play this ability on your opponent's turn, that would just mess everything up. You know? That'd be really goofy. But yeah, you can't do that. It's -6 to get an emblem with at the beginning of combat on your turn. Create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, then put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So yeah, it is definitely a card that is around, you know, you have to have creatures. If you don't have creatures, it's just crap, you know. So if they board wipe you, then what do? You're stuck with garbage. Okay. So not sure how well it's going to be. Light of Promise, this is an interesting one. 3-drop enchant creature. It's an aura. Enchanted creature has, whenever you gain life, pay that many. Put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. No edits here. When I do one of these videos, I go straight through. If I screw up, you hear it. But yeah, put that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. So as much life as you can gain. You gain 10 life in one turn, gets that many +1/+1 counters. Again, I don't know how good this is going to be, but there are cards that like auras, and this is probably one that, you know, again, some more janky kind of stuff. I don't know about competitive, but janky fun, here it is, man. A lot of cards we can have to make some jank. Here's something different here. Alpine Houndmaster. It's a deuce-drop human warrior, and when it enters the battlefield, you can search up for 2 different cards, which is pretty neat. And then also when Alpine Houndmaster attacks, it gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. What are those 2 creatures? You can go search up these 2. This cat and, this elemental dog and this other dog. Alpine Watchdog, nothing, of course, is spectacular here. The cool thing is this has fire breathing, so for 2, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn, so 1/2. And then this one has vigilance, it's a 2/2. But the fact that you can put them, I think is it into play? Put them into your hand. Oh, that's stinky. If only, I mean, actually, that would be pretty busted if you put them on the battlefield right away. But you could put them in their hand, so that is 2 more little creatures you could have that are out there fighting for the cause. I mean, dogs, this is dog tribal. This could be a deck, you know. We'll see. There are, you could have a dog synergistic tribal build going on here, and it's in the right colors. So there you have it, just some fun stuff. Here we go. This is the first time I've done this. I'm going to show you guys something here. So here's Garruk's Uprising, okay? It's a 3-drop, and I really like this enchantment. It enters the battlefield if you... when Garruk's Uprising enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. That's cool. But what I do like is creatures you control have trample. Oh, hot dogs. That is sweet, okay? It doesn't matter what the creature is, it is trample. When a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This is awesome. This is what green really needed. I'm not even kidding with you. Because this has card draw on it, not only when it enters the battlefield, but on top of that, when any other 4 or greater creature enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card. And you get trample. That is pretty sweet. I just want to show you other cards that perk from creatures 4 or greater that are currently in standard. And there are a lot, believe it or not. I'm not going to read over all of them, but there are a ton of creatures. I didn't realize how many there were, or even just spells or cards that are in the current standard right now that benefit or perk from a creature with power 4 or greater. Now, there are other cards out there that, you know, would target a creature with power 4 or greater, like exile and all this. I left all that stuff out of there, okay? But basically, anything that you could perk, I threw in this. You know, target opponent sacrifices a creature. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you gain 4 life. You know, that's pretty sweet. This one, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you draw 2 cards. And then even Annex has, you know, a 4 or greater, and create 2 of those tokens instead. Furious Rise, you know, another one. There's a lot of stuff that just perks of it. Bolt Bend is interesting. A spell costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. 3 less to cast. Change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. It's kind of cool. And then we have something over here. Yorvo also gets perks, you know, in a sense, you know, for 4 or greater. Where is it? Creature's power is greater than Yorvo's. If it's greater than Yorvo's, you get to put another +1/+1 counter on there, so, kind of 4 or greater. Challenger Troll. Each creature you control with power 4 or greater can't block. The Warden of the Chain. It hasn't seen any play at all, but unless you control another creature with power 4 or greater. If it had, haste and defender, I don't know, that'd be never mind. Just forget where I was going with that. But they could have done something different with this card. But it's interesting. Kiora, another one that's huge. You've seen me make this or cards around this deck a billion times. Bonder's Enclave, a new addition recently. Draw a card only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater for tapping 3. There are a lot. I was surprised how many there are. But there you have it. Just some other little cards you could throw up in the mix. But then you have to have a lot of creatures with power 4 or greater. Anyway, Conspicuous Snoop. This one's interesting. I like it a lot. Goblin Rogue. I don't think it's a reprint. I think it's a new one. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may cast goblin spells from the top of your library. Oh, historic. Arena Historic. If you guys aren't familiar with Historic on Arena, man, start playing. It's a lot of fun. And as long as the top card of your library is a goblin card, Conspicuous Snoop has all activated abilities of that card. That's cool. That would go for like Lord abilities or anything else, like +1/+1, whatever the case may be. I think that's a pretty nasty card. That is a really, really powerful rare. Or powerful goblin, definitely going to find its way into a lot of goblin builds. Probably and definitely branch out in other formats too. Goblin Arsonist is another reprint. When Goblin Arsonist dies, you may have it deal 1 damage to any target. Pretty legit. No one's been around for a while. But yeah, I like this Snoop, man. It's pretty cool. Then we have Eerie Denial. I think it's called Eerie Denial. 2-drop instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. If you control a creature with flying, counter that spell unless its controller pays 4 instead. So that, you could do something with the Riddleform there. You see what I'm saying? Somewhat, Very interesting. We'll see how it plays out there. But yeah, if you probably want to run stuff with flying, though, because for 1, it's kind of but for 4, yeah, it's not bad. Pretty cool. Here's a big boy. Fiery Emancipation. Could be a cycle, okay? Now, things that are tripling damage. What if a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player? It deals triple that damage to that permanent or player instead. Oh man, why are they printing cards like this? 1, it's 6 to cast. So odds are in like standard, I don't think you're going to see a competitive standard deck with it. You could, okay. I'm not a genius. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm more like a mop and bucket in the back of a pizza pan, kind of guy, But that's just me. Why are they printing cards like this? Well, 1, EDH, Commander is, I think, one of the largest formats now. They love this stuff. They would eat this stuff up. I should be playing over there. I really should be. But this is huge, man. Triple the damage for 3 red and 3 colorless. Why are they doing it? I got my own little theory here, okay? Now, we've complained. I remember there was like a drought for a while of like powerful cards. Maybe you get like 4 or 5 in a set that are pretty impactful. Maybe saw play elsewhere. But now we're seeing more and more powerful cards. Here's the deal, man. I like that, okay? I don't care if they have to get banned. That's why, did you notice in the last year, they decided, maybe 6 months even, they changed it to, what is it, every Monday now? They can make a change to the ban and restricted list. There's a reason for that, because they know they're printing more powerful cards. And they also took away the MSRP of box prices. You know why they did that? Well, that way they can shove in more powerful cards into a standard set instead of just every time it drops, it's $89.99 or $99.99, whatever they're retailing them for, at LGS's or, whatever the case may be. That makes a lot of sense. You can then slam more value into standard sets, which that was one thing I noticed when I got back into Magic. I'm like, why are these sets so weak? Why there's only like a couple cards that are powerful? But you got to remember, I left around Urza Saga. Like maybe a couple years after Urza Saga, I was gone. But I think I went a little bit into 6th edition, maybe like 6 months into 6th edition, and then I was out the door. Just life happened, I found females. Ugh, weird, huh? Yeah, that happened. But I came back and I'm like, wow, everything seems really weak, you know? And I didn't like that. I'm like, I want to see some more crazy stuff, you know? Like Hour of Devastation was so friggin' boring. Did you play an Hour of Devastation and Amenket? That was lame, man. I couldn't get over how lame it was. But this stuff right here, this is the stuff I want to see. This reminds me more of like crazy things back in Saga, you know? Just a lot of power in that Urza's block, and we're seeing a lot of power now coming around, but also they're catering to commander players. So there's really a lot of reasons going on here why they're doing this, but it's not just like, oh, they're stupid. What were they thinking, you know? And I know I use that for clickbait sometimes, but it's really not what were they thinking. It's they're actually putting more value into the sets. They're making these sets worth a darn instead of them all being kind of like, you know, underwhelming, you know? And only a few cards that perform, you know, big boy status. Now there's a lot. I like that. That's what I really like about it. So what other cards are similar or, you know, can have a source, you know, dealing damage or whatever? You got your Obosh, which they just nerfed. Cool, I don't care. Print really powerful stuff. If you got to nerf it, by all means, go ahead, my friends. I don't care. That's fine with me. Torbran, Thane of Redfell. So Obosh would double, right? If a source you control with an odd converted mana cost would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. It's pretty insane. That would not be able to combo with the other card because it has to be odd. The other card's even, you know. Torbran, another thing with the sources, you know, just 2+ instead. And then you got even Jaya, Venerated Fire Mage over here. Another red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player. It deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. Pretty cool. And then Chandra's Incinerator. This is only in standard right now. I threw it on here just because that's source. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to our creature. Interesting, okay? Plus, it's a newer card. It's a powerhouse. But there you have it. So just a lot of power we're seeing lately, and I'm liking it. Meteorite is a 5-drop reprint. Enters the battlefield, deals 2 damage to any target. Add 1 mana of any color. Cool. Then we have Wake Me When 2020 Ends. Yeah, that's basically what this card should be called. 2-drop, creature, dinosaur, defender. As long as you control, it's another creature with, you know, the 4 or greater thing. A creature with power 4 or greater. Wake Me When 2020 Ends can attack as though it didn't have defender. I wish it would have been a 4/4. We've seen a 1-drop that was a 0/3, and once you got to a certain point, I think when you had the City's Blessing, which is having 10 permanents on the field, then it became like a 3/3 or something like that. This one's kind of similar to that. Yeah, not bad. Well, probably not going to do much. Heartfire Immolator. There you go. It's got the prowess, which is cool, and then you can also sacrifice it, and it deals damage equal to its power to a creature or planeswalker. Pump this thing up, take out a creature, whatever the case may be. Prowess is always good times. And then we have Warden of the Woods, 6-drop. This is all like limited kind of stuff. Whenever Warden of the Woods becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw 2 cards. Interesting, very interesting. Next up, we have Treacherous Greed, 4-drop. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it, and it gains haste until end of turn. Add 2 mana of any color. So just using that 2 mana within it, you know, essentially this could only cost you 2 at the end of everything, but you still have to have 4 to play it. And then with that extra 2 mana, you can just steal their creature and whip it at their face. However, you cannot, if I'm mistaken on this one, I don't think I am, you cannot steal their creature, attack with their creature, and then use the 2 mana of any color because it would phase out by then. It doesn't say, you know, it doesn't phase out or anything. It would have to say some text like that. So just as long as, you know, once you go into combat phase, we'll see it's gone, you know. That 2 mana disappears. So you got to use it, though. But, yeah, that's why Fling, I was like, it's cool. Looks fun. We'll see what happens. Anyway, that's it, man. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. This was a fun one. Lot of shenanigans going on. I don't know what else more to say right now. I'm pumped about the new set, and that's it. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you take a moment. Definitely hit the like button. Helps out a lot with the channel. And also, I did a video with a woman yesterday. It was a deck tech. So you might want to check that one out. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, she sat through it. She's like, what is going on? But she's learning Magic. For those of you who are wondering, yeah, she is slowly learning. She's been playing for like 3 months now. A couple times a night. Or not a couple times a night. A couple times a week. So there you have it. All right, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. Skidink, skadoosh yourself.